Good morning, everyone. Beruchim Habayim to everybody. Beautiful Wednesday, the 20th day of Adar Sheni, corresponding to March 27th, 2019. The Lighthouse live video feed Torah project dedicated לעילוי נשמת דבורה פייגה בת שמואל, רפואה שלמה אורה דבורה בת רבקה. The iTorah.com audio file dedicated לרפואה שלמה דוד מנחם בן דבורה לאה, and שידוך for נחמה דינה בת חנבתיה, among all the singles of עם ישראל. And רפואה שלמה for a young girl, אלתר לאה בת אהבה. Hashem should give a רפואה שלמה, a young girl that unfortunately had a very serious car accident, I was told. So Bezat Hashem, yes, Hashem should give a refuah shelema and speedy recovery. Amen.
Amen.
Interesting message that we find today in the Gemara from Baba Batra. And I say interesting because today's Gemara talks about rabbis. Now, there are many different types of rabbis, and hopefully all of them are good, but each and every one of the different types of rabbis have different ways why they are called rabbis. Sometimes you have a community rabbi, sometimes you have a private personal rabbi, the way many places in the world is done, not in America, but other places in the world is done. And then you have rabbis of the city, rabbis of the neighborhood, etc. But one thing the Gemara tells us today, and the Gemara says, Amar bi Yehuda, Amar Rav, Kol המתגאה בטלית של תלמיד חכם ואינו תלמיד חכם. What happens now if a person dresses up like a rabbi? We all agree that rabbis need to be dressed properly. Properly, I don't mean GQ level or expenses. I got a phone call the other day complaining about a rabbi being too flashy. If you know what that means. I said, okay, maybe he got a gift, what I'm going to say. Anyways, of course, but still, rabbis need to understand that they are in between two worlds, the spiritual world and the physical world. And we need to find the middle of the road, the way the Rambam mentions, in order to be able to connect both parts, the spiritual with the physical. As I said to somebody yesterday, I met with the parents, explaining to them that if they really love their children, they need to start making certain adjustments in their lives of spiritual level related to the physical aspect of life. Because as the children are growing up and they are exposed to the way a relationship between husband and wife goes, although they're not committing any crimes, but certain behaviors and certain attitudes are definitely not a proper example to the younger generation. And one of the parents tells me, but it's so hard. Obviously, if you're going to say to yourself, it's so hard, you're digging your own grave. And our rabbis tell us, now talking from a spiritual perspective, that when certain steps or certain moves that a person must make spiritually are challenging, in a way, this is part of the tikkun of the person. No one said that doing teshuvah is easy or doing teshuvah is automatic. Doing teshuvah, first step of doing teshuvah is understanding and recognizing that there is a need to change. Because if a person says, I'm fine, I'm okay, how are we going to change? That's why stubbornness is not good. In Hebrew, this is called akshanut. Sure, you can be stubborn when it comes to do beautiful things. You want to be stubborn to always help people, to always smile, etc. Beautiful. But if a person has an attitude of stubbornness, that's definitely, the Rabbi Yonah writes that a certain type of stubbornness that emanates from the negative perspective of life is very challenging for a person to be able to do teshuvah. That's number one. So I said to this person that when I was about to get married, my father, alav shalom, who we used to talk about in the olden days, at least this was something that children did with the parents. Today, they telling the parents, please find time to speak to your children. And I remember that my father, alav shalom, sat me down with my future wife. Okay, I wasn't married yet. I was going to get married a few weeks from that meeting. Friendly conversation, and we were talking about what you're going to do later on. You're going to get married. What's your plan? So I said, I love to pursue a rabbinate from childhood, so I would like to explore that opportunity, etc. And my father obviously encouraged me and gave me all the necessary tools, Baruch Hashem. But he said one thing that till today I remember vividly, and I said this yesterday to the parents. I said, my father asked my wife and I, are you willing to be on display 24 hours a day? Do you know what that means? That when you're a rabbi, you cannot afford to have a bad day. People sometimes justify, in English they said a bad hurt day. In the world of rabbinates, rabbis have zero tolerance to have a bad day. We cannot overreact, we cannot yell, we cannot scream. Obviously, we're not talking about screaming and dancing in a wedding. We're talking about, even though that some people may lose their control, a rabbi cannot afford to do that. Why? Because in a way, he's the liaison between the Torah and Am Israel, number one. And I said this yesterday to this couple and say to them, you are on display 24 hours a day. And the person tells me, but I'm not a rabbi. I said, but you're a parent. And you are the rabbi of your home. When I mean to say the rabbi of your home, it means you are the example in your home. I am an example on the street. I try to be the best example, and I hope and I pray that Borei Olam doesn't allow me to stumble, Haz v'shalom, but at the end of the day, we are humans, and the same responsibility comes with the parents. So comes the Gemara, and it says, but a person who wants to dress up like a rabbi, but is not a rabbi, okay? Which today is a catch-22, because today, you know, there is a mega industry in the Jewish world, not in this traditional world, but in the mega Jewish world, in the heavyweight Hasidic Jewish world, that everybody dresses the same. Correct? Correct? The same. They have the black coat, the gartel, no tie. You know, there is only one group of Hasidim, or two groups of Hasidim that wear tie. The majority does not wear tie. They consider the tie a non-Jewish garment. This is the reason why. And they wear black or dark blue. They don't have gray, they don't have brown, they don't have aqua, they don't have green. Okay? This is considered a borderline kosher color. Behemet. If you go to Monsey, Monroe, Mea Shearim, what do you see? So I ask you, is everybody there a rabbi? Obviously not. But we need to clarify what the Gemara means. In the olden days, rabbis were dressed with a certain level of uniform. So what happens now? You went to a store, and this is something, what I'm going to say now, may not be popular, but it happens. Sometimes we welcome people to collect, okay? And they dress in a certain way. And you need to do your due diligence. Not because the person is dressing in a certain way, automatically is Moshe Rabbeinu. And that's something that's happening in our generation. You need to open up your eyes. You need to ask, you need to inquire. Less than 24 hours ago, I had a case exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody came to collect, exerted a tremendous amount of pressure on someone from the community. The person called me up and he said, with that individual, we had some issues in the past. So give him a symbolic donation and send them on his journey. That's it. No, but he told me, he gave me blessings. I also can give you blessings. You want blessings? Open Veiten Lecha, open the book of Tehillim, read 3 chapters of Tehillim, lift up your hands to do Netilat Yadayim, and you're going to get 10 blessings, which is something that the Zohar of today discusses, connected to the wash of the hands for eating bread, the way the Ben Ish Hai writes. Now, I need to say also one thing about rabbis. And unfortunately, sometimes rabbis are in the news. But I'm not talking about in the outside world news. Even among the Jewish people. Rabbis, the Mishnah writes in Pirkei Avot, Hachamim izaharu bedivrehem. The rabbis need to be careful how they speak. When the Mishnah says how they speak, doesn't mean clean language. That's suitable for every Jew. Not to say Lashon Hara, that's suitable for every Jew. Not to use vulgarity, that's mandatory for every Jew. But I think that the Mishnah is trying to say is that Hachamim need to be careful in not saying things that could jeopardize the spiritual Jewish outlook of Ashkafa into the heart of the Jew. And that's why you have, especially in our generation, different levels of rabbis. When I mean levels, I don't say necessarily levels of observance, but we're talking about level of Jewish values. Are the values in accordance with the Torah, or the values may be more influenced by an influencer in YouTube or social media or the secular world, and not the world of the Torah, which is eternal? And why do I say this? Because many times people tell me, but Rabbi said, Rabbi XYZ said this, Rabbi XYZ said that. And unfortunately, certain rabbis were not educated with a proper Torah mindset. And they became the rabbis, or rabbis, because simply they learned, and they went to a school, and they were tested, and they did great. But the hashkafa, when you need to look for a rabbi, and I'm going to say this publicly, I'm not looking for new customers. Baruch Hashem, I have plenty. I don't want to say worldwide, but I do have. Especially with the Torah classes. I get emails and questions and messages from people that I never met in my life. And I'm happy that at least they feel comfortable to ask questions, especially when they need to have a halachic answer in whatever situation it may be. If it has to do with family purity, or it has to do with the loss of mourning, or the loss of kashrut, or the loss of hashkafa. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not looking for new customers. But one of the things that a good rabbi must have, besides a head on his shoulders, but have the clarity of true Torah values. Because this is what separates us from the rest of the world. And that's what we say every day in our daily prayers. Baruch Elokeinu shebera'anu lichvodo, bivdilanu min hato'im ונתן Torat emet, behaye olam nata betochenu. I hope that none of my colleagues felt affected by what I said. But at the end of the day, rabbis, as parents, are living examples to the community, to their respective families. And Be'ezat Hashem, we pray to Borei Olam that everything that we do, it's proper, as I said in the Berashah in the past. Ve'item neki'im me'Hashem umi Israel. To be good with God alone is not enough. To be good with people only is not good enough. The pasuk tells you both. V'hitem nekiim me'Hashem u'mi-Israel. Ben adam lamakom, ben adam lahaviro. In our godly relationship and in our interpersonal relationship as well. We're moving on to the Zohar of today. For those who were praying inside, we mentioned the halachot, some of the halachot of the Ben Ish Hai in the topic of washing our hands for bread. Bread that is a mosi, obviously. And the Ben Ish Hai writes that when a person washes the hands, and that's the way I believe everybody does, we lift up our hands and we say the beracha. The Ben Ish Hai writes, and look at it in Perashat Shemini, that when you make this motion of taking your hands, lifting your hands, the 10 fingers of the hands of the person activate 10 blessings, which are found, if you give me the Siddur, thank you so much, Hazaku Baruch, which are found in the beautiful prayer that many people say on Mosai Shabbat, known as Veiten Lecha HaElokim. This is the beracha that Ishak Avinu gave Yaakov Avinu. And the Ben Ish Hai writes that in the first 2 Pesukim, we have 10 blessings. And how these blessings become activated, Haim Tovim, how this blessing becomes activated by doing this motion. Can you imagine? Which today already exists. Okay? Today, Amazon, Google, and other companies, they have different machines, right? One's called Alexa, right?
Yeah.
And the other one is called Maria?
Maria.
No? What's her name? You know it? Echo. Echo, right?
That's there.
Siri from Apple, beautiful.
Google Home.
Google Home, and Alexa from Amazon, and Siri from Apple. Basically, what do? You talk to them, and they talk back to you. Right? In part, it's a problem, in part, it's a solution. You know, because they don't argue with you. Hopefully not. Hopefully.
They will.
But they tell you what to do, right? Anyways, so imagine yourself that you said, for example, I'm looking for a ticket to go to Israel. And one of these devices, you know what they do? They tell you, okay, Joseph, here are your options. They interact with you by capturing words. That's the reality of today, Rabotai. I don't have it, I don't want it, I don't need it, but you need to know that this exists. Guess what? The only way that these machines get activated is through sound. You need to program the language and they will understand it. But the berachot of Shamayim, you don't need to do anything. What do you need to do? Just the physical motion. Lift up your hands to the heavens. And that's what the Pasuk says in the book of Tehillim. Se'u yedechem kodesh. Lift up your hands for sanctity. Ubarechu et Hashem. We say the beracha. Guess what? We are activating Veiten Lecha Elokim Itala Shamin Shamanei I wanted to give you the short version. I don't want to sing now. Sunday I'll sing in a wedding. Belineder asked me to read the Ketubah. Somebody invited me. So he said, Rabbi, please start the Ketubah with these Pesukim. Veiten Lecha, which is the typical verse that we bless the Hatan and the Kala under the Chuppah. So it says the Zohar Kadosh. The Zohar Kadosh talks about the concept of Kedusha and the concept of Tum'ah. The topic of purity and impurity. For example, even in the animal kingdom, there are animals which are kasher and there are animals which are not kasher. Even in the behavior of a person. Let's say a person goes to sleep at night You went to sleep at night properly. Kadosh Tahor. You woke up in the morning. What is the first thing you need to do after Modeh? You do Netilat Yadayim. Why do you need to do Netilat Yadayim? Short answer, the Zohar says, because we need to remove the spiritual impurity that a person experiences throughout the night when a person goes to sleep. So from here, the Zohar gives us the understanding that a person cannot minimize that every action that we do in our life can be turned to be a connector or enhancement of godliness, or God forbid, the opposite. For example, I'd like to say something that the Gemara writes, I believe, in Avodah Zarah, and that is also reinforced by the Pelei Yoes, that serving God, Avodat Hashem, the way it's known in the Jewish world, is not only I'm at the synagogue, I'm praying, I'm learning, I'm reading Tehillim, I'm giving charity, I'm fulfilling commandments of the Torah, so I'm serving God. To serve God during the moment that we pray and learn is expected. It's easy. It's automatic. Let's say I'm giving the shiur now. Are you going to get upset? Has v'shalom. Why not? Because you're learning Torah. So the challenge then is not when we are doing the mitzvah. The challenge, the Zohar says, is when we are in the middle of the world. Meaning to say, dealing with a situation, dealing with a customer, dealing with a private matter at home, shalom bayit issues, education of the children, how do we interact with people, how do we behave with people, how do we talk to people. And the Zohar Kadosh says, don't minimize that simpler actions, like a simple conversation between two people, how that conversation goes can turn you to go in the footsteps of Hashem or can set you back. Why? The answer comes from the one and only Shlomo HaMelech alav shalom. Shlomo HaMelech says, Bechol derachecha da'ehu. In every step of the way, in the life of the person, there is a room for godliness. Tell me any situation, I will help you find godliness. Let's say going to the supermarket. You find godliness when you go to the market. How do you find godliness when you go to the supermarket? Very simple. When you buy kosher products. And when you spend a few seconds looking for the heart of palm or for the tomato sauce, and the first thing you do is what? Let me see the supervision. Let me see the supervision. Guess what? You are bringing Hashem with you into the supermarket. Or you're going to buy vegetables. And you say, this is too difficult to clean, I'm not buying it. Or this is easy to clean, I'm buying more of this. Again, you're bringing Hashem into the vegetable section. You go to this mall, okay? You're going to buy a suit for the holiday, right? People do that many times. What are you going to think? Shatnez. I'm going to make sure that I test the suit to make sure that I don't cross the biblical prohibition of wearing a garment that contains the mixture of wool and linen. The other day, I got a coupon online. Coupon. And for a great deal on a custom-made suit. Very cheap. First time, one time only. One coupon, 25% discount, plus $50 discount, plus another $125 discount. Came out to be $199, custom-made suit. I got very excited. Balash. Don't ask me the name of the company, because I cannot say the name publicly, because they didn't pay royalties, you understand? But anyways, I got the coupon, I called the guy, I made the appointment, and he says, okay, these are the fabrics that qualify for the special. I said, okay, let me look for a nice color suitable for a rabbi. I already disqualified 70% of the color because green, beige, yellow, hot pink, we don't El Padrino, the Godfather style colors. But I said, no, let me concentrate in the dark grays and the blues, okay? And I look, and every label said 95% wool, 5% linen. I said, thank you so much. Next time. On the spot, I got the message. Make a U-turn. This is not for you. Because halachically, let's clarify this. Depending on where the linen is found, if the suit can be kasherized or not. If it's in the collar or the shoulder pads, it's very easy. But if the linen blend, so to speak, is built into the fabric, there is no way of kasherizing the suit. This is on the men's department. What about the ladies' department? A lady, a wife, a mother wants to buy an outfit or a dress for the holiday. Also, you can bring God to the ladies section of the mall, of the store. How? By picking up a dress that is kosher. How do you make a dress kosher?
Check the contents.
Besides checking the contents, depends on the situation, modesty. If it's suitable to be modest, suitable for the synagogue, etc., or suitable for a place that is not suitable for a Jew to go to. You understand what I'm saying? So look how easy, even in physical matters of life, we can bring Hashem. And that's what Shlomo HaMelech says. And the Zohar, and I'm giving you the very short version, talks about the loss of kashrut. And I'm not going to talk too long on this topic of kashrut, because I believe that Baruch Hashem today, to follow the laws of kashrut are very easy and affordable and available all over, especially in our nation, in the United States. Maybe in different places, kashrut may be more limited, but overall, we understand that kashrut is not only for the body of the person, but kashrut has a tremendous amount of influence in the spiritual well-being of the person. Why? Short answer. In English they say, we are what we eat. This is a spiritual message that when the kashrut penetrates into the body of the person, whatever leaves the body, leaves the body. But everybody agrees that part of what we eat becomes part of ourselves, in the blood, in the flesh, in the muscle, in everything that is part of the human body. That's the reason why even certain kosher animals, if they display a certain level of aggression, you are not allowed to eat it. Why not? Because this animal shows a pattern that is not the norm. So that shows that this animal, so to speak, may have some, let's call it, bipolar attitude. And I'm sorry to use this type of words, but in the Talmudic this is called shor mu'ad. An animal, an ox that gores 3 days consecutively or 3 weeks in a row on the very same day, etc. What is the halakha? You have to remove this animal. Why? Because this animal is dangerous to the society. But it's kosher. You don't want to bring the aggression of this animal into your body, into your soul. And that's the reason why, according to Torah law, the animals which are not considered quadruped, how do I say this? Domesticated animals, in the family of the cow, bovine, etc., we don't eat. We don't eat lions, we don't eat tigers, we don't eat horses, we don't eat dogs, we don't eat cats, we don't eat donkeys, mules, etc. Why not? Although there are countries in the world that they do eat it, for many reasons. And one of the reasons is because of their characteristic, because of their aggression, the way they are carnivorous. They prey on others in order to satisfy their needs. That's one of the reasons why. Another reason is the way the body of a kosher animal is, the neck area of the arteries connecting the head with the neck and the heart in the kosher animal is equal to a human being. In a non-kosher animal is completely different. And then it comes the issue of causing suffering to an animal. So therefore the Torah says only these animals you can eat, which by the way, this is a major topic discussed at the end of this week's Torah portion. But I'm giving you this ahead of time because very neither tomorrow and Friday I'd like to speak also about the guest visitor that we're going to have this Shabbat, Perashat Para, the Perashah of the red heifer, Para Aduma, but we'll save that for the next 2 days. But let's go quickly at the end of today's Perashah. So the Pasuk talks about how a person's mission in life is to sanctify themselves. And what opening statement does the Torah uses today in purifying the body of a Jew? The loss of kashrut. And that's why the Pasuk says, Bit kadishtem, bitem kedoshim, ki kadosh ani. The Pasuk says, a person is to aim for holiness, for godliness. And then at the end of the Perashah, the Pasuk says, one second, Belo titameu bahem menitmetem bam. The Torah warns about a special segment of the Perashah, eating reptiles. I know, but in certain cities and in certain countries of the world, that is the main menu. Correct? If you ever travel to the Far East, this is a given. Okay? And I'm not going to be so colorful because it's not, I don't need to do it. But the Pasuk says, Belo titameu bahem benitmetem bam. Interesting enough, if you look in the Perashah, the Pasuk says, and you will not become impure by consuming this type of creations of animals, benitmetem bam. Interesting enough, listen to the words. I'm going to write it perhaps, so it's easier for everybody to see. The Pasuk says, Ti ta meu. And then the Pasuk says, Benit mehila, benit metem bam. Ti ta meu means of impurity, tum'ah. You follow me? So shouldn't the Pasuk says, Benit amtem, there is an aleph missing in this word. If this word means, listen to the words, tum tetameu, tum'ah, so here should be tum'ah. But interesting enough, the Torah didn't write the aleph in the word nitmetem. You know why? Because the meaning of this word is impurity. But the meaning of the word benitmetem means foolishness. Timtum halev vehamoach. Non-kosher food clogs the spiritual mind of the person. And that's why in the Teshuvah movement, one of the first baby steps, thank you, that they help people to follow in the footsteps of our forefathers, of our beautiful traditions, is kashrut. Why? Because once the kashrut becomes part of our day-to-day living, guess what? Our neshama feels comfortable. Our neshama feels like oxygenated, so to speak. We have oxygen. But if has v'shalom, the person consumes non-kosher food, what does it do to the body and what does it do to the neshama? And the main thing is the neshama at this moment. The body we know. What stays, what leaves. But for the neshama, it blocks the neshama. And guess what? If the neshama, God forbid, gets blocked, how does the Torah will penetrate? So we need to make sure that I remove the impurity, so everything else that I do will have the desired effect. But if I do a lot of mitzvot, but I don't eat kasher, guess what? The mitzvot will be, and I'm going to be careful what I'm going to say, the mitzvot will not be as effective as they can be. The potency of the mitzvot will become diluted. Why? Because there is a virus in the neshama. And once there is a virus, it kills the antibodies. And then you need to call the doctor. That means the Torah, the Hachamim, etc. Very fascinating Zohar of today. Very fascinating. But the opposite, the Zohar says, B'tkadishtem b'yitem kedoshim. We all know that according to the Torah, which is obvious, you'll be surprised that the personality of a person and the behavior of a person is also determined by how a person eats. Even if you eat kasher, the best, supervised by Moshe Rabbeinu, does it get better? No. But yet, a person eats like Esav, and not like Yaakov, so to speak. You know the difference between Yaakov and Esav, right? Esav is a vacuum cleaner. He eats because it's on the table. Yaakov says, I'm going to eat 2 pieces, I'm okay. That's the difference. Berachot, the Torah, etc. But the Zohar HaKadosh writes, and it says that the consumption of non-kosher food, it affects the personality and the behavior of the person. And the more and the kasher aspect of life can help the person become a better person. Why? Because the food that we eat is also godly. How physical this plate of pineapple and melon, you call it melon? Okay. Yeah, melon. How simple this plate is. But as a Jew, I can upgrade this plate. I say the beracha. The bread, now the food is listening to Torah words. Don't minimize the exposure that we give to food. And the Zohar says that sanctity and holiness and godliness can be achieved not only through the spiritual world, but also through the physical behavior every day of our life. Fascinating. Now, let's talk about the worst enemies of humans. Good topic. Now, what we determine what makes the worst enemy of a person? Short answer, behavior. How do we behave? And let's clarify. Today's message has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with normal human behavior. It says, enemy number 1 of the person, Hazaku Baruch. You read this at home before you got here, I know you. Anger. Gas. We discussed this topic several times. Many times. And everybody agrees that, anger leads, God forbid, to a lot of things. Among them, road rage, violence, vulgarity, shalom bayit issues, fighting and argument among people. So the Musar of today tells us definitely the anger is something that a person must stay away from. As the Nachmanides write right in the beginning of the Chok, you see the letter, how he tells his son, train yourself, right, to speak calmly, properly, constantly, to every person, in every situation, and this will help you save yourself from anger. I ask you a simple question that the Musar tells us. What prompts anger? Besides having a short fuse.
Fear.
Huh?
Fear.
Fear?
Lack of patience.
Lack of patience. Keep talking. So far, so good. You want to try something else?
Loud voice.
A loud voice, raising the voice. Okay. The Musar adds one more.
Things don't go your way.
Chazak ubaruch. Arrogance. Arrogance. Ga'ava. Now, ga'ava. What does it mean? I need to share with you a formula for a happy life. It's not impossible. It's very possible. But it requires some effort and training. Without a doubt that emunah and bitachon in Hashem, faith and trust in Hashem, helps the person overcome situations in life. You know, David HaMelech writes in the book of Tehillim, Haboteach ba'Hashem, Hesed Yesobebenu. What's the meaning of this verse? A person that has trust in God will always be surrounded by kindness. Now, it is not forbidden for a person to worry, but don't worry too much. Of course, you worry because you're human. You have a doctor's appointment, you have a job interview, you're meeting your prospective in-laws, you know, you're going to worry, you're concerned. But I'd like to share with you something that we learned the other day. I think it was said in one of the ladies' classes when we talk about da'aga. Da'aga, you remember this?
Yes.
What's the meaning of da'aga in Hebrew? To worry. That's the meaning of da'aga. Okay, you have it in the video? Move it.
Very good. No. That was
Okay,
it. That's
beautiful.
It. Yes, very good.
Beautiful. So if you look at this, follow me. Dalet, Aleph, Gimal, He. I'm missing one letter. Bet. If I follow the Hebrew alphabet, I have Aleph, Bet, M-I-A, Gimal, Dalet, He. So what happened to the Bet? Short answer. The Bet is for bitachon. If you have bitachon, if you have trust in Hashem, then you don't worry. I feel like I'm in England driving. Okay? Beautiful. I made a U-turn. Sorry. You understand?
Yes.
So here he's telling us, if you have the bet, this word doesn't exist. Now, this is on the ideal, thank you so much, on the ideal way,
Amen.
that a person understands, as we learned in the past, the principles of emunah is what? Everything that happens is for good. And nothing happens without God's approval. Okay? Obviously, there is a topic that is a fine line between the statement that I just said, freedom of choice. A person has the freedom of choice, and then you deal with the consequences. Unfortunately, sometimes people make choices which are problematic, dangerous, critical, criminal, but that's a different topic. But what happens to a person who does not have emunah? That God does not become an integral part of their life in the aspect of faith. So then the person looks at the world only with a physical set of eyes and not with a heavenly set of eyes. And I'm not saying to divorce the heavens from the earth. Guess what? Without the earth, the heaven has no purpose. You understand? Our mission is to combine the best of both worlds. So if I have emunah, I worry less. If I worry less, I'm calmer. If I'm calmer, I don't get upset. If I don't get upset, probably I'm a happy person. That's the dream, the goal. But God forbid, a person who says God is for the synagogue. Only. Outside, it's my world. Then things don't go your way, you have a short fuse. Or you're going to have a short fuse. Short fuse for the non-American crowd. It means that you're going to explode. You're going to get upset. Road rage, right? He can give us a shi'ur on road rage. We protect your identity. Don't walk into the room for the videos. Okay? No, we have to protect our law enforcement officers. And pray for them. All the time, every day. Beautiful. Thank you. Road rage. How many situations and how many tragedies happen due to road rage? You know why they call it road rage? Because it happens on the road. But what's the name of the culprit of this action? Rage. Rage is what? Anger. My way or the highway is not a Jewish logo. And that's what the Musar of today says. Arrogance, haughtiness, anger, these are all enemies of the state of mind, of the state of mind of the person. And therefore the Musar says, even though that they are not considered transgressions from the biblical perspective, but the spiritual and emotional consequence that these two enemies bring upon the person, they reach levels that sometimes sins cannot achieve in a spiritual downfall of the person's life. Very powerful message that the Musar of today is telling us. So, you know, many years ago, there was a song in Miami, but it came, I think, from Central America. Don't worry, be happy. Remember those days?
He committed suicide to that.
Okay. Adam Shalom, what can I tell you? Okay, I didn't know that. Probably he didn't come to the Torah class. Okay? No, he doesn't worry anymore. Okay. Anyways, what's the message there? Live a happy life. Worry is not only detrimental spiritually, but physically as well. You know, somebody asked me the other day, needs to go, unfortunately, through chemotherapy. And he asked me, Rabbi, give me a few tips. I said, tip number 1, don't get stressed out. Another case, a couple trying to conceive. Rule number 1, remove stress from your marriage. Why? Because stress takes a toll in the life of the person. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, etc. Let's finish the Musar with a beautiful statement. The Gemara in Yoma says, Be'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. What's the meaning of this sentence? The mitzvah of loving Hashem. That's the literal meaning. But you know what the Gemara says? You know how God is loved by people? How can God be loved by someone? You say, oh, God is so good to me. Okay, beautiful. That's between you and God. How can I do? What can I do that you love God? So listen to the formula of the Gemara. It says, number one, and it will make sense at the end. It says, you need to learn Torah daily. Number one. Number two, you must be honest in business. Number three, diburo benahat im haberiyot. Learn how to talk to people. Speak pleasantly to humans. Interesting enough, he didn't say spend 6 hours a day in the synagogue. He didn't say you must learning Torah all day long. He didn't say, you fast twice a week. What did he say? Learn Torah daily, because when a person learns Torah, the person will learn what is expected from the person. Number one. Number two, honesty in business, developing your emunah, it's a given. We already discussed this 2 days ago. And when you speak pleasantly with people, you know what people say? Kama na'im dirachavu ma'asav. Wow, what a nice person this individual is. You sanctified Hashem's name. I told you what happened to me a month ago. And I'm not trying to sell myself. I don't need to. Baruch Hashem, my self-esteem is good. Baruch Hashem, thank God. Thank you, Hashem. Okay, keep coming, okay? Anyways, and I call a company. I don't remember what type of company was it, but the fellow didn't let me go from the conversation. He was talking and talking. So I switch the conversation. Sometimes they ask you, is there anything else that we can do for you? Right? And I said to him, is there anything pending in our conversation? Because I needed to go. Okay? It says, no, that will be all. But I truly enjoy talking to you. I never heard this in a conversation. And he says, what do you mean? He says, you said to me, good morning and thank you for taking care of the matter. A fellow that I don't even know who the fellow is, I call just a customer service, random operator picking up, okay? So imagine yourself, to a virtual customer, they say, I enjoy talking to you. Imagine what the Musar of today says. You interact with people, and they say, Re'u, kama na'im dirachav b'ma'asav. How wonderful this person's actions and behavior is. B'shem shamayim mitahev al yado. And then you are causing that people develop a great love and affinity to Hashem. But if Haz v'Shalom is the opposite is the same. Okay, my dear friends, I'd like to wish everybody to have a lovely day, a happy day, and Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll see each other a bit later.
One thing, Rabbi.
Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'Amen.